Hi, in this video I'm going to be replacing spring eye bushes on the front steer axle on this Isuzu Npr. I have chosen olivine bushes instead of rubber bushes, and this is a new set. The 2 pouches of grease was supplied in the box. The tools needed for this job are at least 2 jacks, a pair of axle stands, 24 and 19mm sockets, a breaker bar is a must, various tools, impact gun, and a compressor helps to have one too. Let's have a look what's going on with the old bushes. Note how this one's sagging on the shackle there towards the bottom, and looking from the side you can definitely see how that bolt no longer sits in the center of that bush. The top bush is much better, and this is where the vehicle is still sitting on its wheels. This front bush, it seems to be okay as well. That's going to get replaced too. The second front spring eye bush seems to be okay, but that's going to get replaced as well. And here are the back bushes again. The bottom one sagging towards the bottom. The top one seems okay, doesn't seem too bad. And looking at it from the side, it's really obvious that it's really sagging and yeah, no longer sitting in the center of that bush. This is with the weight of the vehicle still on the wheels. I have sprayed a bit of CRC to help with the removal of those nuts on those shackles, front and rear. For that I'll use a impact wrench, but you can also use a breaker bar. To undo all those nuts you will need a 24mm socket and a 19 on the other side if you have to hold it. Not much room here. Although there is a bit of room to swing it around if you put it this way. The bottom one came off relatively easily, but the top one's a bit hard, and I just cracked it with a breaker bar. Let's see how it goes. And I think that should come off now. Yeah, that came off pretty easily now. And the front one, yeah, it's come off. Other side front, that's good too. 2 more left. I'm going to put these on for now. And that's the 2 that are left, and these are a bit harder to get to with everything in the way. Let's see how the bottom one goes here. I can get to that pretty easily. Yeah, that came off. To get to the last one, I'm going to have to take this fuse box off. It's on 1, 2, 3 12mm bolts, and the third one's this one here. And swing it out of the way. And now I've got good access to that last bolt there. So let's get that one. Yes, and that's off as well. Now I'm going to crack the wheel nuts on both wheels. Then I'm going to choke up the wheels and jack up the front. So I've jacked it up, took the wheels off and lowered onto the axle stands at the front of the chassis on both sides. and that's sitting pretty low to the ground now. The axle stands I've put just there at the front of the chassis, just in front of the front spring hangers on both sides. And now I'm going to remove all these nuts that I've loosened up earlier at the front and back, maybe just at one end at first. Well, I can remove the nuts front and back, but I'm just going to remove the pins either just at the front or just at the back. And the washer as well. These are pretty loose, they'll come off as well. And now it's just holding on the pins themselves, they'll have to be knocked out. And that's the bushes. You can see this one's off center. Let's see how hard they sit in there. Not very hard. And that bottom one looks like I could remove it by hand. Just like that. And they seem to be in good condition. No grooves, no wear in them. That's good. I do have the axle supported. Let's see what happens when I put, like how that top one comes out. With the top one, I'm just going to use the extension to push it out with. Maybe the other way around, like this. That's coming out fairly easily, and that is out as well. And this bolt's got a bit of oxidization on it, but it's not structurally damaged or anything, so that's good. So that's one shackle out. Let's check out the bushes. There's the bushes. Yeah, you can see what's happening here. It's no longer sitting in the center. That top one's a little bit better, but yeah. Okay, let's see how easy it is to push that one out. And it does look like a one-piece bush. Don't know if this is going to do anything, but we'll have a go. No, maybe not. With a knife I'm going to cut off a little bit of that collar of that bush, so it's easier to push it through. Actually, yeah. Okay. Again, I'm going to use a bigger extension, half-inch extension, to push the bush out. Going, and at the back the other half has come off. Yeah, that wasn't too good, was it? So now it'll be easier to push this one through. Now the other half, actually I'm probably doing it wrong. I should push it through this way. Don't really want to get under there, that's all. Okay. Okay, I've got an old conrod pin that I'll try to use to push it through from the other side. Let's see how that works. and that has come out. Not much left of this bush here either. That top one's going to be a little bit harder because it's not as worn, but I'll have to do the same thing and push it through. Be a little bit harder with this one. Okay, I found a bit of edge inside there where these two don't exactly touch and meet. I'm going to try to push on that surface, on that edge from this side. Yeah, that has moved a little bit. And by doing that with a screwdriver and using one of these old ones with a nice rough edge on it, it actually has given me enough room to give me a bit of bite on that gap inside there. And that is out. And now it would be a lot easier to push that one through. For that I'm going to use a extension and a 11/16 or 17mm socket to push that through, and I hammered it a few times now, and that is just about ready to come out like that, and this is it. Well, the bushes have come out, but not the metal sleeves that the bushes are in. And now we'll have to knock out those sleeves. You can just see them inside there where they join up. They're not coming out easy. For that I'm going to try various punches, hammer and screwdrivers. Yep, this looks like a mess. There's one more in there, and still both of them up the top there. So that's come out looking like this. For the two on the other side, I'm going to try a big socket that fits in there. It fits in here anyway, and I'll hammer it through to the other side. Looks like I need this smaller socket for here. And using this socket and with an extension, The other one came off alright in one piece, pretty easily. I can show it better on this side. 28mm socket. There's just a little reducer there. And tap that bush out like that. With the top one, both halves are still in, so I'm going to have to work maybe a punch all the way around it and see if I can push it out towards the other side. Here I'm going to push out the bush with a punch, alternating between the gap on the top and the gap on the bottom, pushing it out evenly. I hope this one comes out with a sleeve. And it came out, but without the sleeve. Now I've put a socket in from behind, and I'll try to push it out this way. And that has started to come out. Like that. And that has come out. One more inside there. Also, I've cleaned up this surface here, any nicks out of it I've sanded them out with sandpaper. And now it's time to clean up inside there. To clean up inside there, this is what I'm using. Stainless steel heavy duty, what are they called? Pot scrubs. Not the fluffy stuff that turns to dust when you use it, but the curly stuff, heavy duty stuff. It's pretty good. And finish it off with paper towel, and that is pretty clean inside there now. And I'm going to give it a bit of coat of paint. New bushes as well as the inner surface thoroughly greased up and ready to go in. The top bush is a very tight fit due to the grease and everything. It builds up a bit of air pressure inside there. Bit of air pressure inside there, I'm guessing. And here I've got a jack under the front axle, and I have to lift the axle slightly to get all that aligned. And I'll torque off the rest to this amount of Newton meters when the vehicle's sitting on the ground on its wheels. This side's got the worst access with the air filter and the fuse box on this side, and the clutch and everything on this side, the slave cylinder. Not much room to swing your hammer there. And finally this side has started coming out as well. Yeah, this one was a big pain to get out. It still is. And one last one still in there. I'll use this again, extension. and a socket. And here it is. Out of all these bushes, only one came out with a sleeve. For the rest of them, the sleeve was stuck in there, and I had to get it out one way or another. The top bushes probably could have stayed in there. The bottom bushes were gone. As you can see, these ones, they're the bottom bushes, and these are the top bushes. And this is the only one that came out with a sleeve complete. Again, I've cleaned up thoroughly inside there, ready for the new bushes. And I'll give that a fresh coat of paint as well. That's been cleaned up as well with a bit of sandpaper. Now I'm going to install these bushes, grease them up and install them. Again, I've greased up the bushes and the inner surfaces of where they're going. And that is in. Again, I've got a jack under the front axle, and I'm lifting the front axle to align everything. Again, thoroughly greased up. A bit more grease on the outside of the bushes. And whatever's not needed is going to get squeezed out anyway. And the shackles. And this is how the new bushes look with the weight of the vehicle on its wheels. And that is as good as new. To summarize the job, it is as involved as I thought it would be, and not exactly easy, and not a job for a beginner. The fact the sleeves weren't coming out with the bushes made it time consuming, and for the same reason saved me more than a couple of $1,000. Cost of the bushes was $140, and not counting other consumables that were needed. And the front suspension definitely feels better. Thanks for watching, and see you next or the previous video.